Do you ever feel like you're not good enough? Let's begin our tale with two pots. The first pot, shiny and flawless, was the epitome of perfection. It was the sort of pot that would catch your eye in a bustling marketplace. The other pot, however, was a different story. It had a crack that ran down its side, a flaw that made it leaky, and it carried a sense of shame with it. As they were used each day to carry water, the leaky pot would look at its counterpart, the perfect pot, with envy. It would watch as the perfect pot would return each time, full to the brim with water, not a single drop lost. In comparison, it always returned half empty, its precious cargo trickling away through the crack in its side. In a world where perfection is praised, the leaky pot felt worthless. But, as we'll soon discover, things aren't always as they seem. Day in and day out, the pots were filled with water and carried along the same path. The journey wasn't easy, especially for the leaky pot. It felt its purpose slipping away, drop by drop, as the water trickled out of its crack. The leaky pot watched with a sense of despair as the perfect pot maintained its fullness, not losing a single drop on their daily trek. While the perfect pot stood tall, proud of its immaculate performance, the leaky pot could only hang low, feeling inadequate. This was the same path, the same task, yet the outcomes were so starkly different. The leaky pot could not help but compare itself to the perfect pot. It saw its own flaws amplified, its shortcomings becoming more apparent with each journey. It yearned for perfection, for completeness. The leaky pot wished it could be as useful as the perfect pot. But then, something unexpected happened. As our journey continued, we found ourselves in a vibrant garden. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blossoming flowers, a sight so breathtaking that even the perfect pot had to pause and admire. This garden was no ordinary one. It was nurtured by the flawed, leaky pot. Each drop of water that had fallen from the leaky pot during our journey had sowed a seed, giving birth to these beautiful flowers. The perfect pot, who had been so proud of its ability to carry water without spilling a drop, suddenly realized something profound. While it had been doing its job perfectly, it had not contributed anything to the world around it. The leaky pot, despite its flaw, had been creating life and beauty along its path. It was then that the perfect pot realized that what it deemed as the leaky pot's flaw was actually its strength. What seems like a weakness can often be your greatest strength. With this newfound realization, the once shamed leaky pot swelled with a sense of purpose and newfound confidence. It understood that its flaw, its crack, was not a symbol of failure but a beacon of unique strength. It was no longer just a pot, but a life-giver, a nurturer, a sustainer. In the grand scheme of things, it's not about being perfect or flawless. It's about embracing who we are, our imperfections, our unique quirks, and our individual strengths. It's about understanding that each of us has a special role to play, a unique story to tell, and that our differences, our flaws, make us who we are. So let's take a moment to reflect on our own strengths, our own unique qualities. Let's learn to love ourselves, cracks and all, for in those cracks lie our greatest strengths. So next time when you think you're not good enough, remember the leaky pot.